Hi, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Well, today I want to discuss juvenile diabetes or type 1 diabetes. Everyone associates type 1 diabetes with cute young children. And when you say you're diabetic as an adult, the first thing everyone says, oh, well, if you did eat too much sugar, you would be in the predicament. And I've stated before that type 1s are always sort of behind type 2s in people's minds, because people associate type 2 with every type of diabetes out there. Ooh. In fact, as I said before, we're dealing with two separate ailments. Now, the year I got diagnosed with diabetes, I got an infection. I think you've heard this story. I've got impetigo right here. And that cleared up. And I was under the stress of a new school. And, all of a sudden, boom, you're a diabetic, and here you go. You have to know everything. And 14, 15 is still kind of young, but oh no, I had to be the expert. Well, I should have been the expert. But really, I didn't have support. People always tried but it was oh well, you have to do this and you have to do that and blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying is that age there was a lot going on, and I don't know to this day if my blood sugars were good or not. It wasn't until 4 or 5 years after being diagnosed that the hemoglobin A1C test came into play. And with that, you had to deal with things. Pure and simple. If you didn't, then no one really knew. But once the hemoglobin A1C came out, people could no longer play the game. And what I mean by that was people with type 1 diabetes would go out, have what they want, and then the week before they went in for the blood test or to see the doctor, they would live life right. Because, then your blood sugar would come out fine. Yeah, right. Over the years, I've spoken to other type 1 diabetics and have learned that during this time, it was all pretty well fun and games. And once hemoglobin A1C results came out, you could tell your doctor, "Oh yes, sir, I've done everything right." But your doctor could say, "Yeah, but your hemoglobin A1C is here." Just excuse me for a second. My iPad just started. Sorry. Now, I caught up in this, and even as your kids grow up, you've got to help guide them. It's not kind of like, "Oh, well, you're a teenager now. You can do it all." And that's pretty much how it was left to me. You know, I heard stories like, "Well, Bobby Hall changes his insulin or what he eats before a game." Bobby Hall, Bobby Clark, one of the hockey players had it, and well, you should be doing that. And at this point, all we had was little test strips of blood sugar. No one had given us a formula to follow. Nowadays, there's more sensible way. Now they're looking forward to changing things that I have to find out from my endo and my diabetic nurse about counting proteins and counting fats that may delay blood sugar results. I don't know how I'm going to work that into my pump. Doesn't mean I'm against it. It's just I'm unsure. So I've got a call with my diabetic nurse Tuesday. So I'll be able to tell you all the great events that I don't know with the new pumps if we really have to worry about that, because they're starting to follow you more and starting to make insulin adjustments. Who knows? All I know is if this comes true, that reading a label, you have to take the total amount of carbs. You have to subtract excuse me. You have to subtract any net carbs, and then you have to take that at a certain time, and then you have to count proteins and fats and do a calculation of how many grams of protein you eat. And it's just really, I mean, it's all very simple math, but it's a lot to understand. So, first step, I got this off the internet, so I'm not going to start doing it until what? Come on, you can say it, till I get it checked out with my doctor and or my diabetic nurse. As type 1s, we grow up, and you have to make sure people realize that you are a type 1. If I end up in an emergency or even coming in to my care facility now, I told them I was a type 1, that I wasn't type 2. And a few times the nurse here or whatever would really allow or question me, not allow, but question me on stuff, and I could tell she was expecting me to answer like a type 2. That makes sense. But when you answer from a type 1, people look at you like, no, that's not the way to go. Type 1s are, I think they said, about 10% of the diabetic population. And brittle or labile person, gee, whoever would that be, is 2%. And of the 2%, 2% are severe brittle diabetic or labile diabetic. So you sometimes have to keep fighting that you are a type 1. And I mean, you could do it in a fun and positive way. You don't need to slam your fist down every 5 seconds. But when someone mentions something that, you've been told, no, we do that more for a type 2 than for a type 1, just let them know that you are a type 1. I know coming in here, they want me to go off my pump and to start needles. And I said, no, I'm not giving up my pump. It's the easiest part of being a diabetic, and I'm not about to give it up. It'll be a step back, and I'd be in medical crisis. So, if you run into things don't sound about right, let someone know that you are a type 1. T1D. T1D. All together now. T1.